Is that perfect? Okay. All right. Hey, thanks everybody for coming today. I've had the cold for the last couple of weeks, so my voice will go in and out. Just so you're aware, it's not puberty at 50, so okay. So we're all right there. So I have a little presentation. It's not as long as my October one. And if there's misspellings, it's not Dana's fault because I put it together and she never got a chance to review it. So just so you're aware, okay? Just real quick, you guys have an idea how many people live in Star now, according to our 2022 numbers by chance?
15,000.
How many?
15,000.
15,000? It's close. 17,000, yeah, so we're at 17,000. It feels like a lot. Is that working? I might have to. There we go. We have 17,690 folks now in the city of Star. And that includes the 8 Cannon County side. So we figure we have about 500 folks on the Cannon County side in Star. We have what Compass figures is 2.7 people per residential unit in our city. So when you think of any new housing gets built, you can assume that there's 2.7. That number's going to go up and down based on folks that live there, but that's about where we're at. This kind of gives you a historical comparison. You can see that of the number of people in Star. Back in the 2020 census, we had 11,000 folks. So we've had some incredible growth in the last 3 years here in Star. Okay. Typically, we get roughly 400 houses, building permits per year, 350 to 400. During the COVID timeframes of 2020 up until this last year, we had anywhere from 700 to 800 per year. So that shows you how many people were moving into our area. I mean, a lot of folks were moving in here. All right. We also have on our highway. So I'm going to just kind of quickly go through some of this stuff. Are you going to have? Did you advance the last one? Oh, here we go. Now it's going. It's going. Highway improvements. You guys have seen all the road construction we got going on in our area. We do have this wonderful project down here on Highway 44 between Star Road and Canada. This project is being done and sponsored by the city using proportionate share money. Every new house that was built here in Star since April 2020, I believe it was. Michael, is that right? About that time? Had to pay roughly $1,000 to this fund to help fund highway improvements just within our city. It's a unique setup that we have in the state, and we're spending that money to widen that section, which was unfunded by ITD. That's supposed to be done in June, just so everybody's aware, so they're moving pretty quick on that. I know they ran into some rain delays. We had a little bit of water issues over there. We also have the Highway 16 connection to Interstate 84 going on. That's slated to be done around 2025. Once that's completed by ITD, guys, we can get anywhere in this valley pretty quick because that's going to be an expressway. That's going to alleviate a lot of stress for us. They're also doing some highway improvements on 2026, and you've been in that mess from Star Road to the Phyllis Canal. They worked pretty quick, believe it or not, on getting that Phyllis Canal bridge completed. What they're going to do is, just so everybody's aware, they were going to do it this month. They're going to shut down the intersection of Canyon Road and Star Road for about a week or two because they have to elevate that.
Not Canadian Star.
I'm sorry, not Canyon. Star Road and Highway 2026. Good catch on that. They're going to shut down that intersection, guys, just so everybody's aware. They wanted to do it this month, but I asked them to hold off until after school's out because we have 500 or 600 kids that go up to Hawaii High School, and that's their only access, and they agreed to that. But just be prepared for that. It's going to be a nightmare getting out of town during that time frame. That's part of that greater improvement of that intersection and that highway segment there for us, which will be awesome when it's all done. Okay? Highway 44 between Highway 16 and Star Road is still slated to start next year, where they'll widen this section here to 5 lanes. If anybody's worried about downtown core, there's 5 lanes there. It's just restriping that section. No businesses are going to be harmed in that or anything like that. It used to be, I don't know how many of you guys have been here, about 10 years ago when they came in but resurfaced that area. We used to have 4 lanes in there already, but when they did that resurfacing, it would get into 3 lanes for 2 lanes of parking, but half of it you're not allowed to park on anyway, so why not use it for driving, right? So that's what we're going to do there. Highway 2026 between the Phillips Canal and Middleton Road is going to get widened, and they're currently purchasing the right-of-ways, ITD is, to get that done. So we're going to have a lot of transportation relief in our area of the valley here in the next few years, which is going to be awesome for us to be able to get around and be a little bit more mobile. We also have ACHD. So we're working with ACHD. One of my biggest gripes has been all the impact fees that collected in STAR are not being spent in STAR. And we're trying to get them to do that. It's been kind of a love-hate relationship, I guess, a little bit with us on that. But we are working really hard to try to get Star Road widened from Highway 44 to Highway 2026. That's our only north-south route, right? We have developments happening on the north side of town. All of our kids go that way from school. So we're asking them to get that project shovel ready for us, because they weren't originally going to do anything until about 2035. It's a long time, right? 2035. So we've had some very good discussions with them, put it on the top of our ACHD 5-year work plan to try to get them to get this thing shovel ready, and the city's even offered some money to help them get this thing designed. As much money as the state and the feds keep throwing out of these highway projects, we want to have something shovel ready so we can get it done, right? That's going to be a painful project, no doubt about it, right? It's our north-south route. The way that they, we want that bridge to be 5 lanes with some pedestrian crossings and stuff like that on there. So it's gonna be a little bit of a tough project when they get working on that. So anytime that you guys can help me by asking ACHD to work on these projects for us, the more messages we get out, right, Ms. Mary? The more messages we get out, the better it will be for us. We're also working on updating our joint powers agreement regarding the impact fee collections and our review procedures. Come to find out that we have an agreement from 2020 that is now expired, which is very interesting that no one's ever followed. We couldn't find an agreement. We finally found it through a public records request with them to find out what we need to do to help get projects reviewed, what we can do as far as collecting impact fees and whatnot. So we're working with them. We also have Canyon Highway District 4. So everything on the west side of Canada Road is part of Canyon Highway District 4. And we started collecting impact fees over there on that side for the new construction, and then that'll be utilized to help improve roadway networks over there as well. We're also asking them to put in I think I said it's a bridge at Kingsbury, to put that on the master plan. It's a difficult thing for us to have a 6-mile segment and have all that traffic flow through Star. So it used to be 15,000 vehicle trips per day through Star. We're up to 20,000 vehicle trips per day coming through Star. Over 60% of that originates out of Canyon County. So that's a lot of traffic that's flowing through Star because there's no other access to get onto some of these other highway networks. And so we've been really pushing for this Kingsbury Bridge project over there, and so has the city of Middleton. They understand the need for that bridge as well. Okay? There we go. Here's, oh, that's horrible up there. I always forget that screen doesn't look very good. So over here on the side, this kind of gives you our priority list with ACHD on our 5-year integrated work plan. It kind of shows you where we put Star Road and the bridge at the top. It also includes some of the pedestrian connectivity and bicycle connectivity through our community as well. Okay, schools. This is an interesting one. Where's our councilman? There he is, from Middleton is here. We've been discussing school stuff in Middleton for a while. But on the West Ada School District, they serve 80 counties. So we have Star Elementary School, which is over capacity, if you guys weren't aware of that. Kids that are south of Highway 44, like in the Heron River development, that side, are being bused into Eagle for school because of the limited capacity here. The challenge we have is West Ada is such a large district. If they have capacity in another school, they just start shifting people around. They're not required to keep them in your community. Okay? We have Star Middle School, which is not at capacity. They do have a future Star Elementary School site and a Star High School site up there by the middle school planned on going in, okay? The district is asking for a $500 million plant facilities levy to be voted on by the patrons in May. That levy is slated to break out over 10 years, $50 million a year. If it does get passed, they're going to build the first Star Elementary School over there. It's going to be one of the first schools that gets built. If it doesn't get passed, then we're going to be in the same situation where these kids are going to get bused to other schools to accommodate that. There also is funding in there for a future Star High School as well. The high schools, guys, I mean, their cost is $65 to $70 million to build a high school. That's a lot of money, right? A lot of cash. Middleton School District, everything on the Kenny County side, on the west side of Canyon Road, it gets served by Middleton Schools. They have a challenge over there big time. All their elementary schools are over capacity. I think they're what, 130% roughly capacity in all their schools. They don't have the same dynamics that West Ada has by being able to ship kids around. They only have, I think, 3 or 4 elementary schools over there that are over capacity. Okay? They can't seem to get a bond passed either. So my hope is the state legislature at some point will start funding some of this stuff so we can get these things done. And that's been a big push by a lot of us to try to get the state to fund some of that. And so we're working to find options through future growth in this area. The councilman here from Middleton sent us some proposals on some language for some code that we're all working on to try to figure out how we can mitigate some of these challenges we have on that side of the valley. Okay? Police department. We guys know that we moved our police department from upstairs at City Hall over to the fire station. That's a great location for these guys. It's about 3,500 square feet. I think we just finally got done with all the work, except for one thing of the evidence lockers that we're waiting for to come in. Those things have been taking like 26 weeks to get done. I don't know why. Takes forever. We do have 2 detectives on staff. This Detective Ashley Turner is our people's detective, so any people crimes, she handles that. We have Damian Rodriguez as a detective who handles property crimes. We also have Miss Jada right here, who does all the admin. She's the face you see when you walk in to the police department. And we have two different teams. We have a blue team and a silver team, led by a sergeant and 4 deputies. And so we have 24/7 coverage, 2 deputies on at all time at least, which is nice, right? That report on the right hand, and then we also have an SRO that's not really assigned to the city of Star, but he works, that's a school resource officer that works over at the Star Middle School, but he also helps out at Star Elementary. If you look at that report on the right, every month Chief Zach Hessing provides that report to the City Council, and these reports are available on our website, on the police website, right? Portion of it. And this report tells you a little bit about the crimes for the current month, what kind of calls are responding to, how many calls are citizen initiated versus police initiated, and we're trying to do a lot more proactive policing in Star because that helps keep crime down. And so this proactive policing, we're about, I think, 3 to 1, where our officers will go to different places and check things out or pull people over and whatnot. And I'm going to tell you guys, Highway 44 is a drug corridor. I just want you guys to understand this, right? Our officers have done a fantastic job of pulling these folks over and getting some of these drugs off the street. Fentanyl is horrible. It is so bad. The heroin that they're finding, the marijuana that they're finding is incredible that's coming down this corridor. And it's not folks from Star. It's folks from out of the area that they're pulling over with these drugs in there. So when you guys see them, give them some props on it, because I mean, we tried this year to get the state to add fentanyl as a drug to have mandatory minimums and stuff like that, but the legislature refused to do that, right? So we're still fighting this battle with fentanyl being one of these drugs that's not prosecuted as hard as others. But our police department does a great job driving around and working on things. They do great community events like this Fisher Rodeo, and you're right, I am putting 1,000 trout in there that are 18 inches for everybody to catch on there, which is great. It was awesome this last November, I think, from one of the fish we had last year. Some kid caught this huge trout out of that pond. I'm like, good Lord, look at that thing. He had a smile from ear to ear, so that was well worth it. On our Fire department. We have a kind of a joint fire agreement with Star Fire and Middleton Fire, what they call Mid-Star Fire. But we utilize the same command staff for both fire districts, which is great. It saves taxpayers money that way. So Chief Greg Kaminsky is our fire chief. Then we have one operations chief, health and safety chief, 3 battalion chiefs, 9 captains, 24 firefighters, 6 part-time firefighters, and 2 administration folks. We have Station 51, which you guys see right down here, the great big one that they moved in, right? And we also have Station 52, which is at Kingsbury. They are looking at building Station 5 at Floating Feather. And that's right across from the LDS Church at Floating Feather is where that's going to be built. They have designs put in place. What the cool thing is about our fire department, they're very money frugal. Where a lot of entities will go out and put these bids out to get these architects, like Boise, $1 million for the fire station drawings. Greg got the same thing done for $100,000. So he saves a lot of taxpayer money that way on being frugal with that. If you look at that truck on the left, that's ladder 51. We were able to add that ladder 51 this last year to the Star Fire Department using ARPA funds. So it did cost us directly, but indirectly in the long run, we're all paying for those funds, right? But we were able to utilize those funds to help get ourselves an apparatus here that's going to help our businesses, like Albertsons, the Greylock building, all these smaller businesses are out there that needs an apparatus like that. We have that now in our arsenal. Middleton is also going to get a future fire station out off of Harvey Road. I think it's Station 54. So they work in junction with each other there. All those folks there on the left is a combination of all the firefighters between the 2 districts. That's just not Star Fire. That's Middleton and Star on there. Okay? New businesses. Well, we have lots of businesses that have opened in the last year here at Star. You guys have seen construction all over the place along 44. I still have 24 more businesses yet to open or break ground in Star that have already got approvals, which is awesome. And these folks, what we're waiting for is some encroachment permits and things like that through ITD and ACHD in order before they can start breaking ground. On our city website, under planning and zoning, Ms. Dana did a great job of putting all the future businesses coming and the ones that are here. So you can kind of see the ones that have submitted plans on there to give you guys some ideas. And these businesses are providing services close to home, helping with flipping our property tax base from residential to commercial, and helping us avoid that 7-mile one-way trip. And I put this on here, the Great Star Debate. It's the craziest thing in the world that we debate pizza in our town. You guys have seen it, right? You've enjoyed it? It's good to eat. And even our Dr. Dial. You guys saw what he did, right? When he put Little Caesar's Pizza on his property? Boy, I got phone calls up the wazoo after that got put on. I'm like, no, there's not a Little Caesar's Pizza. Right, that would be better, right? But guys, Westside Pizza that served us food here. Those of you that have been here a long time, know that that's one of the original pizza places here in Star. It used to be Figaro's years ago, for those of you that were here, and then Westside took it over and has been here forever. So always support our local guys on this stuff. And remember, a lot of these places are all franchisees that own businesses that live around here, right? So Westside, mine is chicken, that chicken garlic. Do you have any of that over there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. Maybe I'll get some. When we're done. So that's my favorite pizza on there. But how ironic is we have Westside here, and that's the great pizza debate here at this little park. I love it. Okay, so here's some residential information for you. The valuations in Star is incredible now. We have over $3 billion in residential value in Star. $3 billion. That's an incredible amount of money. Years ago, I think, what does it say there? About 2000, let's even go back to 2015, it was only $500 million in residential value in Star. So I kind of broke it out for you on there to kind of show you the percentage of growth. This last year we had 53% growth in valuations in Star residential. It wasn't because of a ton of houses necessarily. It's just everybody likes Star, right? So people are paying more money for the houses in Star, creating our valuations to really increase. What happens when our values increase at that rate? You guys understand what happens? Our property taxes go up. It's not because entities are increasing their property taxes, it's because we're doing a shift, a tax shift. When our rates are going up 50%, and other areas are only going up 25%, there's 8 taxing districts in Star that are county related, county-wide. So if an area of the county is only going up 25%, we're going up 50%, there's a 25% delta shift on us on paying more taxes on those county-wide services than anywhere else. If you look at the city-related taxes, it's pretty apples to apples. It doesn't go up a whole lot. And then I have a whole thing that we did a couple years ago on property tax. I think it's still on the website that talks about that. And this also shows you a little bit of the housing permits by year since 2006 on there, how many housing permits we had each and every year. So this year, did I put this year on there? I did. So we're at 208 housing permits so far year to date, 6 months into the year. So we're on track to hit about 416 here in Star. We did have a great big slowdown back in October where there was only 15 housing permits, but this last month we had 50. So I think people have kind of figured out how to work with the new interest rates and the costs, right? And trying to make some adjustments there, and so we're starting to buy some houses again. Some of the developers that didn't build houses, they absolutely just quit building with us, are now starting to pull permits again. So it's always like to figure out, I like to get with the brain a little bit and try to understand how they work this out, how they figure out the market, right, on that building, on there. So, all right. And then addressing growth concerns. So these are the things that we have in place to start to help pay for things. We have a park impact fee of $2,050 for every single house that's built and Star pays these fees. Okay, so $2,050 park impact fees. That goes on to help us improve the parks, develop parks, buy land for parks. We have a Star Fire impact fee of $890. So that $809 goes to help build this new fire station up there off Floating Feather, right? So that's going to be awesome. That helps us, so we don't have to pay it as a taxpayer. That new growth is paid for the need. We have an ACHD impact fee on the 80 county side of $3,493. On the Canyon County side, with Canyon Highway District 4, it's $5,050. Then we have the ITP proportion share that we put in place, which is $1,000 a house. And then this last year, in September, we put in some police and fire mitigation fees. We, House Bill 389 a couple years ago kind of hurt us a little bit on our ability to use new construction to help pay for growth. And I went back to the BCA last year and said, listen, we're going to have to stop growth unless we can find a way to fund our necessary services, which is police and fire in the city of Star. And so we have this police mitigation fee. If you just take those fees times it by like the 400, that tells you how much we're going to get this year. It costs us about $150,000 for each new police officer that comes on board, right? Yes, Michael?
You've forgotten thousands of dollars worth of fees you pay to Star Sewer Water for sewer water capacity.
Right, yeah, we haven't gotten there yet. That's theirs, that's not my fee. We'll talk about that one too here in a sec. And then on a fire mitigation fee, it costs us about $1.6 million in order to bring a fire station online. You can't just hire one firefighter at a time. You have to hire 9 to cover the shifts, right? So that's why it's about $1.6 million in that range. And so we have these mitigation fees in place to help us cover those costs. Because our budget every year, we only levy right now $1.7 million towards property taxes for the city of Star. We can only increase that by 8%. So what's that, $150,000 maybe at a max per year? So that barely gets us one officer, right? Same issue with the fire department. So these fees and stuff like that are important on there. And what Michael was talking about is Star Sewer Water is a separate taxing district, and they have their own sets of fees for hookups and things like that as well that helps pay for future capacity. Our sewer and water department does not have a capacity issue. We call them EDUs. They got like 6,000 EDUs still available to utilize, and each residential unit takes one. So I kind of let you know what kind of capacity that they have, right? How many of you were here last year when everybody was talking about the drought, we're running out of water, all this kind of stuff? What happened this year? Those of us that have been in Idaho for all our lives Those of us that have been ranching families know that this is a cycle that happens. I look at last year, yeah, we have water issues on the surface, but not underground. We have plenty of water underground in Alpha that way. Bogus Basin has 118 inches of snow sitting at the base in April. That's an incredible amount of snow. I was told there's 2 million acre feet of water to be ran off out of the mountains after the soak-in that will come into our 3 reservoirs. Our 3 reservoirs only hold about 800,000 acre feet of water. So there's a lot of extra water that's going to be flowing down. So I just want to tell everybody, stay out of the river. Keep your dogs out of the river. Keep your kids away from the river, because that sucker's going to rise. And they're going to rise it to about 3,000 cubic feet per second by Monday to accommodate all this runoff that we're going to see in the mountains. Okay? We've had some unfortunate situations down here at the Star Road Bridge where we've had people drown because they got in that water, or we've had people get trapped and stranded out there. That takes our life safety guys, our firefighters, puts them at risk to try to rescue these folks. So anything you guys can do to tell folks to stay out of that, please do that, because even when it gets up to 80 degrees, that water is still freezing, right? It's ice melt coming off the mountain, okay? All right? All right, parks. We have several parks that we've been, you guys, have you seen our new playground? That thing is awesome. It's so cool to see these kids and stuff that are out there playing. It's so full all the time. I did hear about, we have that little jungle gym thing in the center of it. I did hear about one kid already did the full tumble from the top to the bottom. I'm like, sweet. We got that out of the way, right? Because as a kid, and my kids, I'm like, yeah, all right, you're done. Now get up and do it again. Kind of a deal. But on the bottom of that, you see the brown material? That's a rubberized material that's about 2.5 inches thick. It's permeable, so if it rains, it goes through. It's ADA accessible, so it allows everybody to be able to utilize it, right? So it's fantastic. We have a splash pad that'll be starting here at the end of this month, I believe, over by the dog park area in the Pavilion Park. We'll also have that open on July 4th. We'll cross our fingers on that one, right? That is a big splash pad, 70 by 70, so it's about 4,900 square foot of splash pad area. We're going to also have over that area, we'll have pickleball courts, some basketball courts, and things like that for everybody to utilize. Excuse me, Freedom Park down here by the River House. You'll start seeing right now there's some improvements going on. We have our Dockzilla in there. We have rock work that's being done by the developer right now, Heron River, and then we'll start seeing some of the construction from our side later, hopefully this spring over there. And then once that's done, that opens that up for everybody to be able to use too, because we'll have a 10-foot pathway going around it. We have ADA accessibility down the water, down the docks, and all that kind of stuff too. So that's fantastic. We also have future parks going up in the northern part of the town. We have the park in front of Roselands, which we got an agreement with the school district to utilize as a park. It's about 7 acres. We still have to design that. And then we have a 60 acres almost up there in the foothills at the end of Wing Road. That'll be a foothill style park with trails and stuff like that through there, which should be great for us to utilize as well. We do have our Parks Beautification Committee got some outdoor workout equipment for those of you that are energetic and want to do that. We're going to put that across from Hunters Creek Park in that park area over there, so you can just go out there when you go on a walk and do whatever your body will let you do, I guess, right? With these 4 different, I think it's 4, right? 4 or 5 pieces of equipment that we got going out there. You won't see me out there, I'm too old. I like to do it. So, let's see, what else we got on here? Any questions? And you guys will see, I will post Star Equals Community, because I think we have the greatest community in the valley. Even though we may disagree on things, that's okay. But most of the time, even the pizza debate, it gets ugly. But hey, I've even offered folks to go sit down and let's have pizza together and let's talk about it. Right? You can have fun with that kind of stuff, right? So, you'll always see me post up with Star Equals Community. I really think we have one of the greatest communities in the valley, and we show it. We come out like that extravaganza. I think your number of 2,500 is small. I think we're gonna have 3,000 or 4,000 kids out there, or people. When we ran it in the gymnasium last year because of rain, the fire department didn't like us very much.
Some forbearance on no parking signs on the north
Yeah, the road's closed anyway. Yeah, I don't think there's an issue with that up there. Just don't drive on my grass.
Is the light still doing it in Seneca Springs and?
So there's a light schedule for Seneca Springs. It's gonna be a while before that one goes in.
Until they start widening it?
Yeah, yep.
How about having school impact fees?
So school impact fees is an interesting dynamic. We've been talking with the legislature on how, if we can get school impact fees to put in place, but there's not an appetite for that. The problem with school impact fees is not going to be a end-all, solve-all solution. It's just going to be it'll fix some of the gap of having to pass a bond. You could pass, you would have to almost put in a $35,000 impact fee per house to pay for a school in order to get a timely manner. And you just can't afford that. That's no way, right? So we've asked about that, but what the state has done this year, I can't remember what House bill it is, they've actually gone in there, they're going to use some of the sales tax revenue to help pay off some of the bonds that we're all experiencing. If you look at your property taxes in our area, over 35% of your property taxes are paying back schools, right, with bonds, basically. And if we can get some of that funding coming in there to help pay that off, you see your property taxes reduce a little bit. And I'm hoping, my hope has always been, take $500 million that we have, put it into a fund, and let schools be able to draw from that fund every year to help pay for these new schools. But what needs to happen is we need to have a base model of school, not some Taj Mahal school, right? Too often we see schools being built, and I'm going to tell you, my former life, I was an estimator, commercial construction, and we built schools. And I've seen a lot of this, like, the world we need that for. But give yourself a base model, and if the area wants more, then bond for that. But at least pay for the base model so we can make sure that our kids are being educated correctly.
What's the ratio residential to commercial?
So we're roughly, not all the commercials come online, so we don't know that quite yet, but we're right around the 92.8. We were at 93.7 a year ago. We're right around 92.8. As these other ones come online and get put in the tax rolls, we'll see that number change, especially when we get gray off thrown in there, right? They're not finished yet. So I'm hoping. Well, what we want to be is 70-30, 70 residential to 30% commercial to have a healthy tax base. STAR has never been that way. We've always been considered a bedroom community and not had a ton of businesses here, right? But we're starting to see some of that flip a little bit.
What's the status of the connection between Star's bike trail to Eagle?
To Eagle? So next year, when they start widening, so ITV is going to make that connection when they widen this section of Star Road, Highway 44 from Star Road to Highway 16. Part of their environmental study was to create that connection. And so next year, you'll start seeing that happen along there. We as a city have got some grants that we've been working with on getting some bridges across the river so we can kind of maneuver ourselves around on the BLM land, on the state lands, and come back and connect to that so you can go from Star Road to Lucky Peak hopefully here in a couple of years. Yeah, that'd be really cool on that. Yes, sir.
What is your goal for the city for the next year? What is your personal goal?
My personal goal? It should never be my personal goal. It's a community goal, right? It's not, it's not about me. I'm just the guy that's fortunate enough that you guys want me to drive the bus, right? Sometimes it's fortunate, sometimes it's not so fortunate, right? But I think for us, is to continue to bring in this commercial, the businesses, try to make Star where you can live, work, and play, all of it, all three of it, right? You can stay here. When we get our Freedom Park stuff done, we'll have almost 80 acres down there in that area. You add the BLM land across the way, you add the State Department lands across the way. We could have 160 acres of playground right along the river here, plus the playgrounds that are up here in the foothills that we're going to get. I want us to be able to have things here as a city that we enjoy and that we expect. I'll keep our property taxes low, and we do that very well as a city, right? But I don't control the other 11 districts. I only control one of the 12. So when you're complaining about property taxes, look at all the taxing districts. It's not the city that's creating your problem at all, right, on that. but also just keep building on some of these relationships. And sometimes these relationships with these agencies requires tough love, because otherwise you just get ran over. And STAR's been ran over for years with some of these agencies, right? And so we took some stands with ACHD and trying to get things fixed. And so hopefully we see some of that stuff break free a little bit. Did that answer you, Chris?
Yeah.
Yep.
With all growth, and I mean with a capital G, and the traffic, have you considered any type of shuttle services, say from Star to Middleton or from Star to Boise?
So we have the VRT, which is the Valley Regional Transit, the one that's supposed to do all this. We actually, as a city, cut off the funding to VRT a few years ago because they couldn't ever tell us how many riders we had. I think we stood outside and counted 3 people riding that at one time, right? And tried to justify that. Well, they have a new director at VRT, which I think, Elaine Clay from Boise is big on this kind of transportation and stuff. I think that's you're going to see some changes in some of that model where we'll have this bus system going from, again, because I think Eagle shut off theirs too, but from Middleton, Boise, or Star, Eagle going into Boise and whatnot. You just don't get enough ridership for having that bus come around twice a day, really, once in the morning, once in the evening. We do have a shuttle service that is utilized at our Star Senior Center to get the seniors around over there, but that's about it right now. Yeah. Yep. More questions? Come on. I like them. Yep. Am I running for the re-election next fall? This fall. Yeah, I'm gonna run. I'm gonna officially announce it in May. We don't have to file paperwork till August, but I'll run. So, unofficially, Michael, yes. Yes, sir.
You hit on it a little bit, but will you explain to the group the proportionate share agreement with ITD? I know I was one of the guinea pigs for that when we first started.
Yes, you wrote me the second check,
Yeah.
which was awesome.
So maybe just kind of explaining what that is and how that
Sure.
makes STAR a little bit different in terms of growth.
Yeah, so proportionate share is the agreement we established with ITD that allows us to collect funds from new growth on housing to help pay for unfunded portions of state highway projects within the city limits of STAR. And it was some trial and error at the beginning. On figuring out that cost. There were some developments that paid $2,600, some that paid $300, depending on how far you're away. And that became a problem. And so we created a formula where it came out to $1,000 per unit for that. So those funds are held by the city of STAR. They don't go into ITD state coffers or be used anywhere in the state. They stay here in the city of STAR. And so we create a project like this. So we created, so basically from start to finish on this Highway 44 project that we're doing was an 18-month project was all, from the time that we started design to the time that construction was finished. You look at some of these other agencies, it takes them 3 or 4 years to get something done. I just can't figure that out, right? But we utilize these funds to fix those segments that are unfunded. That segment is unfunded right there from the state. The segment that's here from STAR, because some people ask, well, why didn't we do the STAR Road to Highway 16 segment? Well, ITD has the funding already put in place for that segment, so that wasn't wise use of those funds, right? We have 3 state highways that go through or abut STAR that we can utilize those funds on. Some of our goals are to take that funding in the future to continue going west as we go all the way to Kingsbury as a city and widen those segments from Bit Lane to Blessinger, and then from Blessinger to Kingsbury. So yeah, so it's a great tool. I'm hoping other cities will get on board with that, and because it's a great way to help growth pay for growth. Because we're all about that as a city. We're going to grow. People have rights with their property. We have a comprehensive plan, folks, that we have that shows the entire area that the city plans on growing. Right? So when people come in and say we need to stop growth, well, that's not what our plan says. You got to be careful with that. Because people have property rights, and that's one of the biggest things in the state of Idaho is people have property rights. Now what we can do is we can adjust that plan, which we have, right? We've adjusted our densities in STAR. We've knocked out about 40% of the densities that you can build in STAR over the last 3 years, which is great, because we also understand we're sometimes a product of our own demise. When you throw all these people out here and don't have the road network or the infrastructure that can handle it, then you create a problem. And so we reduced our density so we can still grow responsibly, because I'm not going to become a Garden City, guys. I'm going to tell you that right now. If you guys know Garden City, they're surrounded by Boise and Meridian, right? And so they have no opportunity to grow, and everything that happens, if that growth, let's say Eagle were to come up north, or Middle comes this way, we don't control it. We control what we can control in our area, but then we have to service all that when people come in and use our parks. Inevitably, our police end up on those calls and things like that. So it's important for us to grow. And when I say grow responsibly, I'm big on that. Some people say, well, you didn't grow responsibly during COVID. Well, no, we didn't, but we also didn't create the laws in the states that created people to move out, right? Where people shut things down, right? We were more free and open here, and people want to be part of that. They want to be part of a community that's awesome, and that's who we are, right? So, did that answer that, Chris? Wow. Well, are you impressed? I get yelled at for speaking too much. Right on time. So, I'll stand up here if you have more questions.
One last question.
Yep.
Light at Canada and State, is there going to be a light there?
So originally ITD had that what was called an R cut, which was a right turn only. You go down and do this Michigan left turn and come back. We got them to change that on the plan to allow a light. The light, it's going to be a little bit before the light goes in there. Because we have plans in the city where Canada is actually going to cross right next to Chris's development, basically, cross Highway 44 and roll back as a front or as a backwards road going to the west to Kingsbury. And so our plan is to have a light there at that segment, and they agreed with us on that finally, on that, got rid of that RCAT, so yeah. Yes, ma'am?
Do you want to mention the new service at City Hall?
Oh, yes. So we are, that's good call. Jacob's not here, so he can't yell at me for announcing that. But we're going to offer passport services at City Hall. So you can get, it's a full service thing where you get your picture done and all that there. We'll also, are in the future are working to add the TSA pre-check services there. We also have had some discussions with adding driver's license officer. And that may come. It just blows me away, right? So we'll be a full service City Hall for everything, so you don't have to go into, well, Emmett, right? I use Emmett too, right? And they hate, I think they get tired of all the 80 county guys going to Emmett to do all the driver's licenses and stuff like that. You go to Marcy? Oh, okay, yeah. If you go to Morrison, you get us out by the wineries out that way, right? Yeah.
Are there any other questions? Now is your time. Any gripes?
I'm good with gripes. Okay?
I don't know if it's a thing, but a lot of people in my neighborhood put their garbage cans on the sidewalks.
Yep.
And I am not an indoor person, I'm very active. I find myself having to transfer to the street, go around the garbage cans, whether it be their stingers or their garbage cans, or even the mailboxes, to tell you the truth. Some of them are set so far in, but that you can't change their
Right.
size. How do I get the people in my neighborhood to
I put it on our Pinewood Lakes Facebook page, and I said curbside means your trash can's supposed to be beside the curb.
I'm in
And we
Celestial
all,
Village
that's how I
and-
got the message
So-
out, and I knocked on people's doors.
We could, so here's the thing, I did a drive with garbage guys, and actually, it was pretty incredible how much work those guys put in, and how stinky everything is. I feel bad for them, but they can't
Great
stand
job.
it. Yeah, and it was really interesting just to see the different dynamics with these trucks and how hard it is for them to pick some of these trash cans up when everybody puts everything together. So that's why I did a post about keeping it out. But we can make it just a public service announcement on that.
Just make it
It's an
big
ADA
because-
issue all over.
I'm not just that, anybody with a stroller or
Yeah.
a elderly person or something like that, it's just a big thing, and it's something that I noticed that was kind of getting on my nerves, you
No,
know? It was
understand.
a little rude, but also another question, I'm just curious, I've never lived in a subdivision before. Do subdivisions have authority over the street?
No, the streets, unless they're private, the streets are owned by ACHD.
Thank you. So they
Yeah.
can't tell me not to park my work trailer that's very attractive?
You have, so I'm gonna tell you this,
Easy, Mayor.
you will, yes. So my license plate doesn't say YHOA for that. That's for Youth Hunters of America, just so you guys know. However, HOAs, when you sign a contract with them, they do have the authority to help and have to limit
I
that.
had bad property management
Right.
company, didn't tell me the rules before.
But, so we can't, city doesn't control that, ACHD won't control that. If you're HOA and you sign the document saying that you would follow those,
Oh, so
then
they
you're,
can?
oh yeah, if you sign the documents, you're on the hook for that,
Well, I
yeah.
was just trying to see if there was any way that I could tell them you're near, you know,
No. I did that myself.
It looks good to make it look like you were,
Right.
but hey, it's okay. You know, I'll put it, I have a big garage.
Yeah. Okay,
I won't fight.
go ahead, Chris, sorry. I'll stand here.
No, I just wanted to thank you again for coming out. Thanks for your sponsorship
Yep.
of the event today, our friend of lunch, and if we give Mayor Chadwick a round of applause. Thank you. I also want to thank Mr. Jason for catering our lunch today with Westside Pizza. Thank you so much. Everybody will just stay seated for a second. We just want to recognize some new and existing businesses in the city of Star or around us that are members. The first one is a new member, is located right next to off of State Street, across from City Hall, next to McDonald's, and next to Dickey's Barbecue, and it's 208 Cycles, new bicycle shop that's in town. Come on up.
Thank you for coming into the city.
Yeah. All right, the next is Royal British Motor Cars. Coming in next to Jason over by Westside Pizza here in 2023, right?
Good.
Next is Michaela Cotting with real estate. Michaela Cotting? Coding. Cotting. The two D's got it. Next is Nancy Collins with Silver Creek Realty Group.
How are you? Good, thanks for joining.
And then last but not least, on the new members is Embrace Your Encore. All right, and these are existing renewal members, so we have a Senior Care Authority.
It's William. Thank you, sir. Yeah, big picture. Big smile, big.
Eco Motors. All right, ICCU, Idaho Central Credit Union. Josky Insurance. And Georgia Neighborhood Management Services Incorporated. We have a little raffle that we have. The first item that we'll do is from Penrose Advertising here in Star. If we need any advertising, whether it's a marketing flag, a flyer, a logo, anything that you can put your name on, give Jennifer a call. She's here at the meeting as well. The winner is Mr. Brett Clancy with Christian Brothers. There you go. And the next one is for the Spotlight of the Month. It's what we use for the Chamber website in order to spotlight a local business. Different banners and things on the website, as well as constant contact emails and on email chain. So Miss Brittany Gardner with State Farm Insurance. All right, the Spotlight winner. So that'll conclude our meeting here today. Like I said, biggest event of the year. One of the biggest events of the year is Saturday. Please come out and support. We'll see a lot of you there with your vendor booth. If you have a volunteer, Mr. Bruce is right there. Thank you very much, and special thanks to Mayor Chadwick for coming out.